This is the arena on KAFTAN Television, Abuja. My name is Pius Awunah, your host. Recently, the governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, granted an interview, and in that interview, he alleged that some senior army officer disclosed to him President Buhari gave directives that they should not go after the killer herdsmen that are attacking and killing people in Benue State. We know that Ortom is one of the governors that has been speaking on the issue of insecurity, and anytime he speaks, he accused the federal government of being complicit in the attack and killing of his people in Benue State and other parts of the country. We are going on the break to come back and discuss more on this issue. We'll be back to know whether it's the presidency that is lying, because in that interview, the presidency through Garba Shehu, the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, came out to call Governor Samuel Ortom a liar and an opportunist. So when we are back from the break, we know who is a liar between Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State and the presidency. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back from the break. Don't forget, it is the arena on KAFTAN Television, Abuja. The issue of insecurity is what we continue to talk about it until we get the needed solution. We are aware of the attacks and killings in different parts of the country by Fulani herdsmen, by bandits, Boko Haram, and other insurgency groups. But today, I want us to focus more on the happening in Benue State as regards the insecurity, where the governor is always speaking out, accusing the federal government, particularly President Buhari, of being complicit in the attacks and killings of his people. As we always do on the program, I have a guest with me that we are going to be looking at this issue together. So please meet my guest, Barrister Chidiebere. Nwachukwu. You are welcome on the program, sir.
Thank you.
This is the second time I'm having you on the arena.
That's correct.
You look good, sir.
Thank you.
Good. So I believe you have been following the happenings as regards insecurity in the country. And insecurity is something that is something that everybody should give the needed attention to. I always advise people not to just leave everything in the hands of government. We need a collective effort to fight this. So we know that Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State, he has been accusing the presidency, federal government, particularly President Buhari, of not doing enough in the area of addressing the issue of insecurity. And recently, he granted an interview, and in that interview, he alleged that some senior military officers disclosed to him that President Buhari gave directives that they should not go after the killer Fulani herdsmen that have been attacking and killing the people in Benue State. The presidency through Garba Shehu, who is the special senior assistant to Buhari on the media and publicity, came out to say Ortom is a liar and he is an opportunist. It's very unfortunate that we see leaders exchanging words on issues that matters instead of bringing solutions to the problem. So now I would like to start with asking you, this question: who is lying between the presidency and Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State? Just your opinion.
I'll not be able to answer that straight ahead, but looking at the security situation in Nigeria, you will agree with me that it has affected every facet of our life as a society or as a country.
Yes.
Now, the peculiarity of Benue State in the security issues that we have as a country is also important for us to understand before I venture into the question that you asked.
Good.
Now, the insecurity in Benue State did not just start this year or even last year.
Yes.
the geographical situation of Benue State is also a contributory factor to this insecurity issue, especially as it relates to herdsmen, farmers crisis. Now, these two group of persons, let me group them by herdsmen and farmers, has been coexisting over the years in Benue State, and I don't think there have been any issue before now, major crisis before now. However, at a point, the issue of banditry, cattle rustling came into the picture, and from there, we started hearing herders attacking farmers, displacing people, maiming people, killings and destruction of properties, farmlands, and otherwise. Now, the governor has been there for a long time, and being the chief security officer of the state, which in quotes means ordinarily should be that he is the main person that's supposed to be in charge of the security architecture of the state. And for a governor to come out and start shouting and say that there is a problem and I need help, and the presidency or the federal government is not giving me the due attention, or is not paying attention to my state as it is required, then that means there's a big problem.
Yes.
Now, the issue of who is the chief security officer of the state comes into play. That was why I said in quotes, comes into play in this kind of situation. The governor does not have control of the army. The governor does not have control of the police. The governor does not have control of even civil defense.
Yes.
So with this, a state that you are supposed to, assume you're the governor, you're supposed to be the chief security officer, you are helpless in such a situation where there is a security issue. And the army architecture, the military architecture takes direct authority and instructions from the federal government. And where if a governor wants anything to be done in terms of security personnel, he has to go cap in knee to the chief of army staff or to the federal government. And because he is not in charge, he cannot give any directive other than to beg. And as the chief security officer, in quotes, in the state, and you see your people dying every day, people being displaced, you're harboring more than 3 IDP camps for internally displaced people, not because of Boko Haram, but because of farmers, herders crisis in your own state. And even the said IDPs are attacked constantly. And you are seemingly helpless in such a situation. I feel his pain, and I don't think that any person who, in quote, is the chief security officer of the state will keep quiet or shut his mouth in such a situation.
Yes.
So which also takes us back to the structure of security in the country, which needs to be changed, which needs to be revolutionized, which needs to be rearranged in order to ensure protection of life and property.
You see, this is a very serious issue. In fact, but unfortunately, it is now a common thing that people don't look at it as something big. Before, if a single person is dead, it's something that is scary. Everybody will be afraid. Everybody will take it serious. But we have people dying in Nigeria in hundreds. And it is not something that is just happening once in a while. It's happening consistently. So it's no longer like a news. It's no longer like something surprising. Even when you are discussing with people that, there has been attack here, so people that it's a normal thing. But this is something that shouldn't be normal at all. And then I'm telling you, in Benue State, I'm not saying there have not been attacks and killings in other parts of the country. We have discussed security issues in general on this program. I just want us to focus more on Benue State. I'm telling you, every day, people are being attacked and killed in Benue State. there are some incidents that have to do with killing of the people that you don't even hear every day, but this happened. And you see, in all these attacks and killings, no one has been, successfully arrested by security men or agencies. The kind of trial and then administration of justice or punishment. I remember before some attacks, the same governor Ortom will come out to say that this thing is hearing these people are threatening. The herdsmen are threatening that they will attack. They say this and that. They have said that severally, and it's happened. And you see, that is the reason why the governor is always saying confidently. He has never a day grant an interview and speak on the issue of insecurity without, accusing the federal government, particularly President Buhari, of being biased, of being involved in the killings, in the attacks and killings of people in Benue State and other parts of the country. So for him to come out and say, it has been disclosed to him by senior military officers that the president is the one that gave directives they should not go after the herdsmen who have been attacking and killing the people in the state. It's not something disturbing. That was why I asked that question. So now, I want us to look at this other issue. You made a mention in your explanation that the geographical area of the state, which is Benue, there are other states that they are experiencing the same thing, but just that Benue State seems to be the most badly affected state. And the issue in Benue State, I must tell you, it has started long ago between Fulani, but just that it was not pronounced as it is now. It has started, then the killings were not, many, so people were not giving that much attention. The whole thing escalated a few years ago, where on New Year Day or Eve, Fulani herdsmen attack and kill more than 70 people in the state. Where you talk of the governors are helpless, or a governor of a state is helpless when it comes to an issue of insecurity. Helpless, we know that the security agencies are being controlled by the federal government. But as a chief security officer of your state and as a governor of your state, I think you have some power within you that you can do something to safeguard the lives and properties of your state. Is it not something that governors should do, or particularly Governor Samuel Ortom should do, apart from what he has done so far? The issue of the law that is against the open grazing now, and recently the recruitment of about 500 guards that can help to, protect the state. Apart from this, is there not something that the governors should do to ensure the protection of lives and property of their own people in their state, apart from expecting aid from the federal government?
Okay, basically, under our constitution, the governors are more or less helpless. However, there are still some powers that the governors have, and which I think Governor Ortom has exercised some of them. Now, before I go into that, let me briefly talk about the anti-open grazing law in Benue State, which was proposed. I was opportune to look at the law before it was passed. By the time it was generating controversies.
Great.
Yes, the law is actually a right step in the right direction. However, I feel at the point of consultation, there was no much consultation during that. Reason being that when you look at some sections of the law, it makes it more cumbersome for a non-indigene to establish a ranch in Benue State. You have to go through series of approvals from the local chief to the head of chiefs in the local government, to the local government, to the governor. Then you have yearly renewal fees
Yes.
and application for non-indigenous, but this does not apply for indigenous. So for me, that is where the controversy is. Now, but whether there's supposed to be an anti-grazing law, yes, there's supposed to be an anti-grazing law. In other climes, in other parts of Africa, I'm not talking about the West, in other parts of Africa, there are laws that stops this, and ranching and stoppage of open grazing has been there for over time. And these people are producing, they're producing more and better than what we produce in terms of livestock production. Now, that law caused or exacerbated the problem. The Mietiala started shouting about it, that this law, is a kind of a law marginalizing them, that it goes against their right of free movement and ownership of properties across the country. That's for the Fulanis, herdsmen, because they constitute about 90% of the herders in Benue State as of today. Now, because of that, they claim that most of their people who they said are not knowledgeable about the law came into, after it has been passed in 2018, usually take their cows into Benue, because basically, like I said before, the geographical situation, the geography of Benue State in terms of the Nigerian the landscape, you will see that Benue State is a kind of a route through which these herders pass through to the southern part of the country. And also, Benue State has an arable land. Most of the norths are getting dry. You know what climate change is what is happening with climate change. So most of them try to push towards the river. And if you check normal demography, people tend to go from where the dry land towards the side where there is water. So basically, and because of the Benue State being the food basket of the country, Benue State can produce what will feed the whole of the country, because they have arable land. So these people capitalize on that for food and feed for their livestock. Now, they see after the passage of that, the Mietiala started saying that this law is actually against them. And because of that, they are going to resist it. At that point, they were threatening, there were a lot of threats. This is where the Governor Tom's claims comes in. There are a lot of threats from Mietiala saying that this is going to cause violence, this is going to cause anarchy.
And thereafter, they started attacking and killing people.
And when they were saying this, there was no caution from the federal government that you cannot make such a statement. You can actually consult, you can lobby. You can go and meet the governor of the state and say, this is how we want this thing to be. Can we amend this law? Or can we stop the passage of this law to put this into consideration? They started threatening. And just to live up to that expectation now, there started being crisis ensued. We started hearing the issues of killings, burning of farmhouses in Benue State. And the governor started shouting, this is the same people that were threatening that if we pass this law that we will not know any peace. And they are living up to that threat. Federal government, you need to come in. Yes, there will be interventions. There were interventions by the military. In fact, at a point, there was one incident that the chief of army staff went to Benue, but however, when he came back and granted an interview, he termed the thing as a communal clash.
Okay, we have to go for a break. You said there was intervention. When we are back from the break, we would like to know the kind of intervention that was actually administered there in Benue State regarding this issue, because of the fact that we didn't see anybody being arrested or being responsible for these attacks and killings. So any intervention that cannot produce results, can that still be considered as intervention? What was the effect of this intervention? We'll go on a break, come back and continue from here. Welcome back. We are still looking at the issue of insecurity in Benue State. The governor has been accusing the federal government of being complicit. Recently, there was an interview, and the governor alleged in that interview that the senior military officers disclosed to him that President Buhari gave directives they should not go after the killer herdsmen who have been attacking and killing his people in Benue State. A governor is not just an ordinary citizen, and he's coming out to make this kind of accusation. And this is not the first time he has been saying this thing. He has been consistent in his accusations against the federal government. So we are trying to look at the issues of insecurity as concerns Benue State, where there have been a lot of attacks, killings, but no one has been arrested or punished, so they cannot discourage other people from doing the same. We want to look more into this. My guest is still with me, Barrister Chidiebere Nwachukwu. You mentioned the issue of intervention when the former IG visited Benue State during the attack. And people would like to know what kind of intervention, what was the result?
That's where the issue is, and that comes also, that reinforces the cry of the governor of Benue State. After that visit, he came out and granted an interview and termed clashes to be communal clashes instead of calling it what it is.
Making it look common,
like
simple.
This is
as if it is nothing.
This is not a serious.
Meanwhile, more than 70 people were killed.
Yes. Pictures are there to show that this actually happened. Now, also, this is not also the first time the governor is saying this type of thing. When the military started threatening, the governor told everyone, shouted that these people, the military went to other 14 African countries to get other Fulani herdsmen, and they have agreed to attack Benue State. And and whenever any attack happens, he says that these attacks are coming from coming in respect of this meeting that these people had, and that the head of military should be arrested. But these things, and he also went to Nasorok to meet the president on a briefing. After that briefing, we expected a whole lot of things were going to change. We expected, okay, the military high command is going to move in. It is not just about stopping the headers, because also the headers also have their own side of the story, but actually ensuring that there is peace and that these people exist in harmony without any issues or rancor, as it were. However, these things did not come. So, coming to your question about the issue of whether those interventions
they need a result.
No, it did not yield the needed result, because these things are still happening, and the governor is still crying. In fact, you can be termed as a crying governor in terms of insecurity as today in Nigeria, because he comes out and he says these things and it happens, and it shows how helpless a governor can be in issues of security in his state.
Let me quickly come in and ask you this question. We have seen how, apart from the issue of insecurity in Benue State, let's look at it now on a general note, how it is happening and affecting other states of the Federation too. We have seen how the arrested terrorists that have engaged the military in a battle, but finally the military overpowered them, captured them, and later the same people have been granted pardon by the same federal government that claimed to be fighting insecurity in the country. Something happened in Benue State. You remember the issue of the late Tewasi Agwaza, popularly known as Ghana. Ghana was someone that was known as can I say terrorist, or a leader of a militia group in Benue State that has been terrorizing Benue State and other states within the North Central. He has been on the wanted list, but you know, the governor of the state, I remember he declared amnesty when he came in as a governor for the first tenure, and this guy came out to surrender all his weapons in order to make peace. But later, another thing happened. Somebody died. He was accused. He said, "Don't know anything about it." They kept telling him, "Come out. If you don't know anything about it, come out and stop hiding. Talk to us. We just want to hear your side of the story. If truly you are not aware that you don't know anything about it." This guy, after much pressure, he came out to willingly to surrender and let people know that yes, he's not what they are saying about is not true and all that. Then the military killed him. He was not even arrested to allow him speak for the public to hear his own side of the story. And then people of Benue State and even other states, they begin to complain. Of course, we are not encouraging this kind of act that this guy has been doing. But why do you arrest terrorists who have been killing thousands, even military, they kill military officers? But because they are from yours, they seem to be your people from the north. You arrest them, you set them free. But somebody who just came out, willingly to surrender and, speak on allegation against him, he could not even be given the privilege. He was shot and killed. People see that. So even in the issue of insecurity, there is a biasness here where those who are terrorizing from the north, if arrested, can be pardoned by the federal government. Those who are terrorizing from the other part of the country arrested, they can be killed. Did you see this as something that someone can say the presidency under the leadership of President Buhari is biased in terms of addressing the issue of insecurity and other issues that have to do with, the country in general?
I'll even start with the appointment of the security architecture.
Very good.
When you look at it, you see that it is one-sided. And there's this saying that where 5 people from the same family are deciding on a matter with one outsider, there's a very likelihood that whatever thing they're going to decide in respect of that matter will be in favor of the members who are the ones who are family members. Now, what it means is that from the appointment, there is an element of bias, no matter how you want to look at it.
Yes.
Because the way the Nigerian system is, the way Nigeria is structured, we have about 300 and something ethnic groups, we have about 500 languages. You cannot wish away the fact that there are lines. And these lines are sensibilities of people that needs to be respected. And any little thing, bias can be, somebody can infer bias from any little thing that anyone does. Now, if you look at the way I'll categorically tell you that from the look of things from us here, it is obvious that the federal government has treated Boko Haram suspects with kid gloves than they have treated other people. We've seen the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, we've seen the issue of
Sunday Igboho.
We've seen this issue of Ghana that you're talking about.
Yes.
These things show that some people are sacred cow. And that is not how it's supposed to be in any serious society that is serious about pursuing or fighting, whether insurgency or insecurity. So I don't want to say, oh, this is obvious bias, but there are a lot of elements that can make any reasonable person to assume or to go home with that knowledge that there is an element of bias in terms of the way the federal government has handled issues of insecurity in many parts of the country. You see where one thing happens. Let me say there is a particular issue, security issue. The military architecture moves in. You see trucks going in, killing people, people running away. Then you see a particular place where terrorists have held the country to ransom and nothing happens. And they are left to run government, parallel government, hold territories, collect taxes.
Yes.
And nobody says anything about it.
In fact, those who seem to be prominent people in the country that are supposed to bring the kind of suggestion that can address this issue. They rather advise the federal government to negotiate with terrorists, which is a pity. I want us to look at this. I've been asking this question. You see, in Nigeria, we hardly look at issues very carefully. Or sometimes, can I say, we intend to forget things in a hurry. Thank God for the media, that no matter how long it takes, we will always dig out to bring out things for people to see. And then that can be compared to the current issues. See the issue of insecurity. I remember very well that when President Buhari was in an opposition party, when this issue of even Boko Haram, the first insurgency that started, where we experienced bombing of churches, some mosques, motor parks, where many people died. You remember the Madala bomb blast on Christmas Day, the Kano bomb blast in the park, the Nyanya bomb blast. These people that perpetrated all these acts, and they're still doing more. When the federal government, under the then President Goodluck Jonathan, wanted to declare these people as a terrorist organization, President Buhari, by then he was in the opposition, but he was one among the people that was against it.
He spoke against it.
Was against it. That why would you be declaring then terrorist organization? He was against it. Now, another disturbing issue. These same people later appointed the same Buhari to lead the negotiation on their behalf with the federal government. They appointed Buhari and other 5 people that they should, but Buhari was one to lead the negotiation that should represent them and negotiate with the federal government. After that incident, Buhari succeeded in becoming the president. He used that point of insecurity against Jonathan. And many people believe that no, he's a retired military man. If he should come in, he can be able to do something to address the situation. I'm telling you, many people didn't vote for the former president, Jonathan, because of the issue of insecurity. Many, because of the issue of insecurity. Because they believe the ongoing administration has what it takes to address this issue. Okay, the same man came into power as a president. What has he been doing? Setting them free. Even those who were arrested during the Jonathan administration, he set them free. And those who have been arrested under his government have been set free as well. It's not something that we should be disturbed about.
What you stated, just want to correct something. He was nominated
to
negotiate for them. He denied having any link and that he will not participate in that. However,
of course, he denied. It's true. Yes. But I'm not even looking at the aspect of he denied. I'm looking at the aspect of why people were asking questions. Even as he say, I don't know, I'm not in support of what they are doing, I don't have any link with them, I'm not doing anything with them. Why did they appoint you in the first place? That's and correct. Other people.
Even as an opposition one of the opposition leaders during the last during the administration of President Goodluck
Jonathan, yes.
He made a lot of comments to just to x-ray the incapacity of the federal government then to tackle insecurity. And it was like, as a military general, when he comes into power, there are a whole lot of changes that he was going to do. But I can tell you that we have gotten to worse where we were before.
Of course.
Than then. Now, there are a lot of elements which not only the governor of Benue State has said, even on the issue of this amnesty and rebutting or baptizing of Boko Haram suspects, if I can use that word. Senator Ali Ndume has also stated that these people are the ones causing the problem. These people that you have taken back and said, oh, they are now sent. You have taken them, given them amnesty, wore them a new cloth saying they're no longer repentant Boko Haram, that the ones that are giving these people information and fueling this insurgency,
Yes.
the more. Then what was the essence of granting such amnesty? So which comes to that issue that I mentioned before about treating some people with kids' gloves.
Yes.
I really think that the situation in Benue State and every part of, and many other parts of the country has exposed our military incapacity to handle terrorism, insurgency, and insecurity in the country. And there is a need for an overhaul. There's a need in other places where things happen. If they kill 70 people in Benue State, the chief of army staff is going to resign.
Yeah, I want to chip in here quickly. You remember the allegation against the federal government by Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State, where he alleged that the senior military officers told him the president gave directives they should not go after these people who are attacking and killing people in Benue State.
Yes, man.
Looking at the issue of it exposed our military that they are incapacitated, is it true? Can we sincerely say that our military, they are powerless in terms of fighting this issue of insecurity, or it is because they have not been allowed by the authority that controls them to really act the way they know that they can act, and this issue can be brought to, end? Is it that they are really, helpless, or the authority is not really opening hands, are giving them the kind of, order, or not the kind of, restraining them from doing what they know that they can do to address the issue? I want your opinion on that.
Yes, when I said incapacity, it also has to do with the hierarchy, with the way orders are dished out, with the way authorities are given to act in a particular situation. So it doesn't mean that incapacity only in terms of arms and ammunition, in terms of personnel. No, okay. It also means that, yes, to answer your question straight, yes, the incapacity has to do more with the morale. Because if you're talking about equipment or funding, you will agree with me that in our budget that the military has taken the larger chunk of it over these years. And owing to the nature of military budget.
And that affects our education. That is why universities are still on strike.
Yes, that's affected a whole lot of things. So with that, with what the funds that they have had, and is being approved to them. In fact, at a point, there was a time that they approved about $1 billion for them, and they came back with another one, which the Senate also approved. These were borrowings.
Okay. I will still want us to go on a break and come back to discuss the last segment of the arena this edition. So the issue of insecurity is something we will continue to talk about it, and it is something that is affecting everyone. In as much as we don't like what is happening, and we can blame the federal government or the authorities in general for not doing enough, we still have to continue to play our role in ensuring that we get the needed peace. All hands must be on decks. It is not something that will leave only the federal government to tackle. It is something that involved all of us. So we're going on a break to come back and then discuss more on the issue of insecurity as concerned Benue State and other parts of the country. So don't go anywhere. Still looking at the insecurity, Governor Samuel Ortom's allegation against the federal government, the presidency reaction, what is the way out? It's unfortunate that this has started long ago, and we are still trying to see how we can address it. We're supposed to go past this level. People are dying every day, and the leaders are supposed to protect the lives and property. some of them are rather calling of the citizens to own guns and defend themselves. Is that the solution to the problem? I'm still with Barrister Chidiebere Nwachukwu with me in the studio as my guest. Barrister, I want us to look at this issue. In Benue State, we have the governor, Samuel Ortom, and then there's another very influential person in Benue State there who has been the governor for 8 years, a senator for I think 12 years, and then after that he contested again but was defeated. And the federal government under the leadership of Buhari appointed him as the minister of special duties on the intergovernmental affairs. I'm talking of Akume, Senator George Akume. There seemed to be, lack of unity among these people. These people are from the same tribe that they're supposed to bring development to their people and the state in general. They're supposed to unite together to fight the common goal. But when you look at the issue of insecurity as we are discussing, particularly the New Year attack in Benue State that more than 70 people were killed, when the governor came out to announce this, the minister, who is from the same state and speaking the same language with the governor, he said it is not true, that the governor is exaggerating, that those killed were not up to 70. He even went further and accused the governor during the burial that some of the caskets, the coffee, they were empty. The governor just put them there to attract more attention. Did you see the lack of unity among these people as another thing that is fueling the issue of insecurity in the state, causing more harm?
Of course, basically, when you see this kind of thing, accusations and counter-accusations, when it's coming from the same people, whose own people are suffering from the same insecurity, it is an appalling situation, and it shows or buttresses the fact that when when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers more. Now, because the former senator and former governor is now a member of the ruling
party,
ruling APC,
yes,
and he needs to. When you're in the table, you don't. When you're eating on the table, you don't talk, you don't complain. It's when you're out. So because he is of the same party, and the governor is of another party, they're trying to bring politics into it. Now, this is not about politics. This is about human beings. This is about number of people who die every day. This is a number of people who are being displaced every day. The number of women who are being raped, children who are being killed, children who are taken out of school because their breadwinners are dead or killed in violence. This is about people's farm states which have been destroyed. It's about people's properties that have been destroyed. Anything that has to do with politics should be taken out of it. What's supposed to be done is for the leaders to come into place, and this is where the governor comes in. Insofar as the issue of whether the number is 70 or number is 120 is immaterial.
Yes.
What is material is we need to stop this, and how can we stop it? And that's where the governor comes in. The governor, chief security officer of the country, of the state, sorry. He's supposed to take some steps, drastic steps. For example, the law that was passed. That law, he can consult, even though that he's not in good terms with the Mietel and the headers. He can consult with them and find a reasonable solution or amicable ground where they can come together and say, okay, at this, we can actually forgo, I can leave this, I can leave this, so that there will be security.
No, but don't you think by doing so, it's like the Métis Allah controlling the leadership of the state? Let's look at this in this way.
Yes.
The law didn't just was not just initiated or put in place. It was because of these killings.
I agree with you. What I'm saying.
So the law is the kind of preventing the killings.
Yes.
So if the attacks and killings were not in place in the first place, there
wouldn't have been any law.
Very good.
No, I agree with you. What I'm saying is that there's some aspects of the law that makes it hard, difficult for someone who is not an indigene to participate in that. You can actually meet with them and say, okay, we're going to remove some of these things. You can actually graze, but you cannot openly graze. You can only do your ranching. You can also, another drastic step is empowering the internal vigilante that he has. He has to find a way to empower them. He can look for it in the laws. You can always find a way to use the law to protect your people. Then he needs also do what is called consultation. There are stakeholders in the country that he can consult. There are former military heads of state, former heads of state that he can consult that will put pressure on the federal government.
Yes, you are right. And in fact, I must confess here that the governor has tried. I remember the recent recruitment of 500 guards that they can assist in protecting the lives and property.
Yes.
And he promised to do more, and he will obtain license for them to enable their own AK-47, AK-49, so that they can work effectively. So I'm not against even him, but when it comes to the issue of leadership and the followership, people who are expecting you to do what can be of benefit to them, to do what can protect them, that we are not getting that from you. We are not taking it, easy with anyone. We are not the kind of you try to compromise here. Lives are involved, people are dying. So even the governor that is accusing the federal government, we know that federal government is not doing enough, but his people can still not be that happy that you have done this, and then we are still being killed. You are the leader. They must blame you. They must accuse you. There are a lot of things that are happening, even the presidency, particularly President Buhari. He always say he's not aware. Then you wonder what is happening. There was a threat against him by the bandits.
Bandits.
They are going to capture him with the governor of Kaduna State. The president was not aware of this until when the governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, visited him and I explained this to him. That was when, and this threat was made
openly,
like how many weeks ago, or even a month before the governor visited him. But it was during the governor's visit that the president was even aware of this threat. So you imagine the kind of leadership we have. You imagine the kind of situation we are in. And with all this, how are we going to be safe? When are we going to get things addressed so that people can sleep with their two eyes closed? I want you to talk to the people of Benue State and Nigeria in general in terms of unity. Because, of course, there is no way we will claim to be fighting people and among us in order to achieve peace, in order to address issues that are affecting our growth. That we cannot be in unity, we cannot be one. I'm speaking this, another person is against it. And then how did you expect things to work? How do you think we can be able to achieve the needed result? So talk to the people of Benue State and Nigeria in general in terms of unity on how to fight the insurgency, the attacks, the killings happening in that state and other parts of the country.
Okay, basically there's a saying that you cannot live, somebody whose house is on fire cannot go start chasing rats outside. Now, as far as you are being, which is every part of the country, but as far as you are involved or you are likely going to be a victim or you're suffering one way or the other in this situation, there is a need for everyone to come together. There's a need for proper consultation. There's a need for unity. There's a need for consultation and planning together and having one mindset. The mindset is how to protect our people. What do we need to do? What are the measures that we need to put in place to be able to alert people when there is an issue? What are the measures we need to put in place to avert any attack. You cannot do this thing in disunity. You cannot do this in quarrels or in counter allegations and allegations and the counter. You can only do this when you agree and accept that we have one enemy, because the enemy thrives small, or the enemy's attacks thrive small when there is disunity amongst yourself. So one of the warfare of the enemy is also to ensure that you people are not together. So with that, it will be easier for any person to attack you at any point in time. Yes. So I will advise that we all come together. When you see something, say something. Security is not just that issue of federal government. It's not the issue of state government. It's not the issue of your governor, your local government chairman. It is an issue that you have to play a vital role in, and you must be part of it. You see something, you say something. Whenever there is violence, make sure that that violence is stopped at that point in time, because if you allow it or you condone it, it will definitely come back to you, and by that time you'll be the victim.
Okay, what should the citizens do in order to assist the government?
The security of life and property is the primary purpose of government. Protection of life and property is the primary purpose of every government.
Yes.
Now, the federal government ought to do a lot of things. First, there is supposed to be a need to rejig the security infrastructure. There's supposed to be a need to audit the funding of security architecture. What I mean, military, police, and all the paramilitary. There's also a need for education and awareness. Like these issues that we talked about people going to act as moles, or let me say informants to these terrorists.
Yes.
Basically because they are going to get some money from them. So
Very good.
Most times, if actually there is awareness, there is education that this thing you're doing is actually going to come back to you. There are jingles on the radio, there are jingles everywhere telling you that it will help in enlightening and educating the people, knowing that this thing you're doing is going to come back to you. The creation of jobs and employment. They're supposed to be, the government have to be intentional about creation of jobs and employment in the country. Insecurity thrives where people are not gainfully employed. Most countries in the West, they fight unemployment as if they are fighting war. The reason is because when people are unemployed and not engaged, like we say, an idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Yes.
That is where the devil goes in, or let me say, the urge to commit a crime comes in. So these are things that the federal government needs to do very urgently and declare state of emergency in the security sector.
These are things that the federal government need to do very urgently and declare the state of emergency in the security sector. We don't have much time to discuss more on this program regarding our topic of discussion for today. Before we call it a day, I want us to examine these things and re-examine them. It is unfortunate we are still talking about insecurity in the country, something that has started long ago, that should have been addressed before now. People are still dying, people are still being attacked. Nothing seems to be happening to prevent more killings, attacks, and destruction of property. In as much as we don't like this, we know that blaming the federal government or anybody cannot be the solution to the problem. But we still have to talk about the fact that this is becoming, in fact, not even becoming, it's already too much. This has escalated. So the authority needs to do something. Now people are not even looking at the issue of insecurity. Everyone is after 2023 election. I want to be the leader. It's about how would you make things work? How are you going to address the issue of insecurity that we have been experiencing for years? How are you going to ensure that you deliver the dividends of democracy to the people? How are you going to ensure that we get the stable power supply, the supply, and we have the security in place that protect the lives and property. Our education sector is working fine. Our healthcare system is also working, that our doctors don't have to leave the country to other countries in order to work there. That. Thank you always for joining the arena on KAFTAN Television. Has been speaking with Barrister Chidiebere Nwachukwu. It's my second time now having him on the program, the arena.
That's correct.
And don't forget, my name is Pius Awunah, your host. So join us same time next week, same station, for another interesting edition of the arena on KAFTAN Television. Bye.